Hey friends, Dave here with Transfer Express, and today we are covering the essential tips and tricks to heat print like a pro. So whether you are just getting started or an established print shop training new employees, mastering the heat press is key to achieving consistent, repeatable, and high quality prints, resulting in quality custom apparel that people are going to love to wear. So are you ready? Let's cover everything you need to know to get the best out of your heat press. Now, since heat press operation kind of differs a little bit from machine to machine, let's start with an overview of the different types of heat presses. Here we have a manual, semi-automatic, and fully automatic heat presses. Now, each one of these has its own benefits depending on your needs and your shop's production volume. So manual heat presses are great for beginners and small businesses. Now, they offer control and are budget friendly. Something like this craft press or the top of the line Hotronix Fusion IQ, where you close them and then manually open the machine yourself. Now, next up in terms of operation, we do have semi-automatic presses that add some automation for easier and faster production, just like this Hotronix Auto Clam that I have with me right here. Now, this auto open feature using the electronic magnet eliminates the step of opening the heat press, helping you with accurate applications and allowing you to multitask or just print more efficiently, effectively reducing the amount of steps in the process. Now, fully automatic presses like the Hotronix Dual Air Fusion are ideal for high volume shops where speed and consistency are crucial, or even for serious small businesses looking to reduce the manual steps while increasing volume with, say, a limited staff. Now, of course, within these types of heat presses, we do have different styles. We have clamshell, swing away, and draw, and that refers basically to the operation of the machine. And there are some pros and cons of each type. Now, clamshell style presses are some of the most popular, and they are just like a clam, right? They open and close up and down, which is perfect for a small footprint to print from just about anywhere, a spare bedroom, a closet, a basement, even on the go. And while they're easy to use, the drawback here is that you can't see directly over the printing area, with the heating element always in the way right here. Now, I come from a screen printing background, and it feels very similar to a screen printing press. Instead of a screen, it's just a heating element in front of me. Now, swing away presses keep the heating element horizontal and allow the press to swing away from the stationary lower platen, giving you a heat-free workspace to place your transfers. Now, it is safer to work on and away from that hot surface of the heating element, where maybe for schools or businesses where children might be around, this is the way to go. Now, similarly, draw presses are like a drawer, right? Where the platen slides towards the operator for heat transfer placement. Now, regardless of the style of heat press that you have, the first step to quality printing is going to be loading the garment correctly onto the press. Now, threading the garment onto the lower platen is the most accurate and most efficient way to print with a heat press. Now, here we're going to open the garment up like a pillowcase and put it onto the lower platen. Now, some presses don't have the ability to thread the garment onto them like this. And in that case, you could still get great results, but sometimes just laying the shirt over the lower platen with now 2 layers of fabric can require extra time to smooth out any wrinkles on the underside that will impact your print quality. Threading the shirt is also going to orient the shirt upside down in relation to you when printing, something we're going to keep in mind for proper print placement later. Now, loading your garment correctly is essential for efficiency and reducing misprints. Crooked, twisted, tilted, or off-center prints are something every decorator wants to avoid. And to make sure your shirt is straight, we're going to grab the garment by the side seams at the bottom of the shirt. Or say for tubular tees, hold on to where the crease in the fabric is here down the side if it doesn't have side seams in the garment. Next, I always load the shirt onto the press and slide it all the way down. Now, having a platen cover on the rubber foam here on this lower platen makes this step easy and also prolongs the life of the press with reduced wear on this foam. Now, loading this way ensures that our hands stay equal distance on each side of the platen, loading the shirt on nice, centered, and straight. Now, we'll see our top seams along the shoulder line align with the edge of the platen closest to us. And we have the collar right here in the center of the platen, which is pretty easy to eyeball. With the top centered here and the bottom centered based on how we loaded it, we are all straight. Now you could double check the sides are equal distance from the edge of the platen by pulling it down slightly on each side to clearly see the edge of the platen in relation to those seams where the sleeve meets the body of the garment. Now once you get the hang of it, you could kind of eliminate this step. This is just for verification. Now the final step here with loading our shirt is going to be to back the collar all the way off the edge of the heat press here. So we have a nice, smooth, flat, even, obstruction-free printing area where the full surface area is going to get consistent heat and pressure. We don't want any collars, seams, pockets, or any obstruction on the lower platen here at all. Next up is the heat press settings: time, temperature, and pressure. Now, all three are crucial for achieving a long-lasting, high-quality print. Too much or too little of any of these could lead to problems like peeling, cracking, or even scorching and damaging heat-sensitive apparel. Now, all transfer types are different and may apply at a different time, temperature, and pressure setting. Always follow the recipe provided by the transfer manufacturer for the best results. Now, while time and temperature are fairly fixed and measurable, sometimes pressure could be a little more of a gray area. Now, heat presses with a digital pressure readout, like this one, are definitely preferred for accurate printing. Now, we have a full video below that dives into pressure and why is it important, and we're going to link that right here. Now, too little pressure and the transfer doesn't apply. Too high of pressure and you may damage the garment, reduce the opacity of the print, or squeeze extra adhesive out from underneath a transfer. All things that we want to avoid. Now here, for our example, we're printing with goof-proof screen printed transfers, which apply at 365 degrees for 4 to 6 seconds, with a medium to firm pressure and of course a hot peel. So we're going to ensure our press settings are correct using the control board on the press. Now, pre-pressing the garment is a crucial step for long-lasting prints. This step removes moisture that the garments could soak up from humidity in the air. And if you're pushing ink down while steam is pushing up and out, you're not going to have that quality, long-lasting result with just about any transfer type. Next up, one of the most common issues we see is misprints due to incorrect print placement. Now, making sure your design is centered is made easy when the garment is loaded on the press correctly. You can also find the center of your print here by folding over and making a slight crease at the top or bottom, or using something like this placement ruler and lining up the transfer. Now you could check the print from side to side by eye or by holding something up for reference, just like your fingers on either side of the print to make sure it's centered on press and not skewed. Now, as a general rule for center chest prints, you'll typically be between 1.5 to 3 inches down from the collar to the top of the print, depending on the dimensions of your artwork. Many decorators tend to use their hand as easy measurement. Now for me, it's 3 fingers down from the bottom of the collar to the top of the print, not the top of the carrier sheet. Keep that in mind. Now, as collar widths may vary depending on the style of shirt you're printing on, we always measure from the seam here. While we could go super in-depth on print placement and positioning, we have a great video all about it that we'll link down below too. Now to print, we're just going to close the press for the set time. Ensure the press locks all the way down. Now the last variable in heat transfers here is a hot, warm, or cold peel. Now hot peel, like these goof-proof transfers, means we're going to remove the carrier immediately when the press opens. We want to separate the print from the paper while the ink is still hot. Otherwise, it may adhere back to the carrier and lift off, or just be tough to peel. Now, warm peel is going to wait 3 to 5 seconds or so from the time that the press opens to when we peel. And cold peel transfers require the garment and the print to return to room temperature. Now, you should remove the t-shirt from the press to allow for this step. Any ambient heat from the heat press may keep the adhesive from cooling and curing to the fibers of the shirt. Now, while uncommon, some plastic carriers do have a static charge to them and may try to peel the carrier when you open the press. Now, one way to eliminate this is just by placing a piece of paper on top of the transfer between the print and the heating element. Now, this is going to break that static and ensure there's no stress on that hot adhesive for cold peel transfers. There are also some transfers that require a post press to seal the edges. This typically requires covering the garment with paper or a reusable cover sheet and pressing again to finish the print. Now, for high volume, choosing a hot peel single step transfer is going to be ideal to reduce any of these extra steps. And that's how you're going to get the most efficiency out of your heat press. And that's it. We just printed a t-shirt like a pro. And while it may take a couple shirts to get the hang of it, you're going to find that loading correctly makes the entire process so much easier. Before we wrap this up though, I do want to mention just a few tips and tricks that could really help out too. First, let's talk about interchangeable platens. Now, if you're using a Hotronics heat press, you have the advantage of interchangeable platens. These platens make it easier to print on different items like sleeves, pant legs, or even hats, giving you the flexibility to print any size garment while still isolating the print area to be free of those buttons, collars, seams, or even pockets. Platens like the tag-along platen can even print 2 locations at one time, the front of the shirt and the inside tag, further reducing any additional presses. And with this neck shape, it even helps align those t-shirts onto the platen in one swift motion. Now, swapping platens is simple and super easy with Hotronics presses. Just unlock the current platen with the lever on the side, lift it off, place the new one in, and lock it back down. By using the right platen, you avoid uneven pressure, you isolate that print area, and ensure a perfect result every single time. Now, for uncommon print placements, for say garments with zippers, buttons, thick seams, or collars like polos, right? You could use something like a mouse pad or a heat press pillow to just raise the print area if you don't have any interchangeable platens. Much easier with an interchangeable platen. That's kind of the easy way to do it. It is going to add some extra steps as you may have to remove the pillow or put it in every single time. Heat printing pillows are designed to raise the print area by allowing any obstructions to sink down into the pillow, allowing you to avoid any uneven surfaces that can lead to poor pressure and misprints. Now, to use them, just slide the pillow under or inside the shirt in that print area, and it will elevate the garment that you want to press. For a hot tip, you could even put it under the quick slip pad protector so it stays in place. But I do want to caution, as this decreases the overall pressure, any transfer that's going to require medium pressure, like a 5 or higher, should have a firm printing surface. Heat printing pads or blank mouse pads work similarly by providing a firm, flat, even surface that raises the specific area of the garment. Now, they are especially useful for small, detailed print locations or just when you're working with thicker fabrics. Just place the pad under the print area to ensure your transfer gets the right pressure for a crisp, clean application. Just be sure to adjust your pressure accordingly for smaller surface areas. Now, since the pressure sensor here is reading the entire surface area of the heating element, when it's only contacting that small area, the pounds per square inch is increased. So here's a handy chart for pressure reduction for those smaller platens on those raised print areas. You can take a screenshot of this, or we'll just link the PDF down below for you too. Another key factor in heat printing is fabric compatibility, so keep this in mind. Some fabrics, especially polyester, are prone to scorching or dye migration, where the dye from the fabric bleeds into the transfer. To prevent this, use transfers specifically designed with a dye blocker layer in between, right? So always test your fabrics and transfers first to ensure compatibility if you're printing on a garment that you've never printed on before. So to sum it all up, load your garments correctly, follow the transfer settings precisely, and use the right platen for the job. Always consider your fabric type when choosing a transfer type for those best results. Now with these best practices, you're going to get consistent high quality results every single time that you fire up the heat press, leading to decreased spoilage, increased efficiency, increased profit, and most important of all, happy customers. But thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe right here to the Transfer Express page to stay up to date on all of the heat printing tips, tricks, inspiration, and education that we're dropping every single week. But until next time, I'm Dave. Happy pressing.